talking to the boomers for a few minutes here. Sorry to normalize ages, but most of the boomers that I talk to have developed a business. It's like another child to them, and they want to sell it. And it's worth $7 million. Guess what? You do a financial valuation and it's worth 700,000. And they don't understand why. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. But an actual valuation says it's worth 700,000. The emotional says it's worth 7 million.
The new Flat Rate Podcast.
The new Flat Rate!
For contractors ready to boost tickets, simplify business, and gain freedom. Today, we sat down with Chris Papin. He is a CPA, attorney, business advisor, author of 168 Hours, and host of the BLABO podcast. And now, your host, me, Natalie Koop, and your co-host, Danielle Putnam. Today, we are joined by Chris Papin, CPA, attorney, business advisor, author of 168 Hours, and host of the BLABO podcast. Chris helps business owners understand the connection between accountability, time, and financial growth. Today, we're talking about financial discomfort, business ownership, and the habits that separate growing companies from struggling ones. Chris, thanks so much for being here today with us.
Ladies, it's a true pleasure. I'm excited. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm so excited to get into this topic. So going right into it, what does financial discomfort actually mean for business owners?
Man, this one's gonna go like 3 or 4 layers deep, but
Can't wait.
to
Take it there.
surface level, right? Most things in life that are worthwhile usually don't just come easy. It's not just magically showed up. And every business owner puts in hard work, blood, sweat, tears. Usually their families kind of get drugged through it too. And there's this back end sacrifice is the way that I'm going to set it up that directly impacts kind of this discomfort scenario. And what I have found over the years and the different roles that I play is that people don't like that discomfort. So they go do the things that are easy. For example, an attorney goes and does the legal work, or an insurance agent goes and meets with their customers. Whereas really the things they need to focus on for success and growth are those things that are painful or new to them or something that they have to learn. And that's where that discomfort comes from. So like the cliche of getting comfortable being uncomfortable applies, but the financial element of it really revolves around that uncertainty. Because small business owners get it. Like tomorrow it could all be gone, but tomorrow it could all be boatloads of numbers too. And that's the yin and the yang you got to play the game with.
Why do so many business owners avoid their numbers?
Candidly, I think it's because it starts. Let's start this response back over. I think it starts because it's a compliance-based thing first. Typically, there's a tax return or there's a bank loan covenant, and those things usually come with unintended consequences. So quickly to kind of go through a life cycle, and then I think this will tie your first question and your second question together a little bit. Small business owners don't actually understand true financial statements. Like generally accepted accounting principles are not the way business owners think. They think bank statement. Do I have cash? Therefore, I owe tax. Do I not have cash? Therefore, I don't owe tax.
Yeah.
GAAP says something completely different. And what a lot of people will do in the beginning is, oh, I'll figure that out later. Oh, I've got a deadline. Oh my gosh, let me hurry up and get it together. What do you mean, ... Because they didn't keep up with it live. So there's some sort of impact there where everybody kind of knows that story, or maybe a friend has gone through that story, or, oh my gosh, I've owed so much taxes everybody's heard. That's where I think the initial aversion comes from. It's just not native. You know, it's like me saying, hey, you want to get into the technical coding of your software. Nobody cares about the code. They don't care how complex it is. They just want it to do the thing.
Yeah.
So that is a hurdle to clear. Then secondarily, when you start to get into these things, there's a value mismatch. The client looks to a CPA firm and says, it's going to cost how much to have relevant financial information? And all they see is the expense, not recognizing the cost to them. So I'm going to spin this in a little bit different story, and this is where I think it sets it all up right. New client comes to me and says, I've already filed my 2025 tax return. I paid $45,000 in taxes. What if it cost $5,000 a year for me to do that exact same work? They're going to focus on the five,
Hmm.
not the 45. What if I could
Yeah.
have saved them taxes last year? So oftentimes we have to tell the story in the sense of last year I could have saved you 15 grand. It would have cost you five for our services. You're still plus 10.
Hmm.
And that again, there's like this mind blown moment. Now somebody feels like they did something wrong. So there's an aversion to moving forward because I don't want to admit I made a mistake, which is this is business. You're going to make mistakes. So you couple these things and it's just this muck. You feel like you're running in quicksand and not getting anywhere. And oh my gosh, what else did I not know? Welcome to the club. So that these are the like psychological hurdles we watch people face. They know the right thing is to hire the accounting, but because we're behind from the past, we can't have good current financial information today, which everybody, every entrepreneur knows. You've got to take the info you've got right now, use it to make a good decision tomorrow. Best decision based on the facts today. Nobody can predict the future. Or I don't know. My crystal ball's broken. Is your guys figured that out yet?
No.
Right?
Yeah, I like Chris how you're using the word aversion. So interesting how business owners and I'm a business owner. I've done these things that you're talking about, and so it's just speaking straight to my soul of, we get going and then we hit a wall and we develop a divert or an aversion to that of, oh, that's complicated. Oh, I messed up. Oh, I want to stay away from it instead of diving in and going through the wall saying, wait a minute, how can I learn how to be friends with numbers?
Yeah.
Interesting. We do these aversions you're talking about.
And the thing I'll give to everybody that nobody ever wants to hear, our limbic system is designed exactly like this. Fight, flight, freeze kicks in first.
Mm-hmm.
Always. That's biology.
Mm-hmm.
Then logic, financial statement analysis, business decisions, strategic. It is all logic. So we've
Mm-hmm.
got to learn to get through. This is where the discomfort comes. Get through the fight, flight, freeze psychology. You can have that moment. Nobody's saying you shouldn't
Yeah.
have it. And I think actually people should sit in it and understand it because
Mm-hmm.
it makes you a more informed person whenever you go through the logic process. It's natural. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then what? But then what? But then what? That's the game. And if you can start to overcome, I'm sure you guys like think podcast episode number one, you had it all figured out, right? I didn't either, but
Yeah. Like, actually, let's not put that one online.
right?
Let's not use that one.
Well, let me ask you this. How does the way someone spends their time affect the growth of their business?
So this is the age-old adage. The story is something like I walked in Monday, I looked at my inbox, and then all of a sudden it was Monday afternoon and I didn't achieve anything I intended to. What happened in the inbox? There was probably an issue. There was probably a squeaky wheel, or maybe we had to go home and handle something with family. There's all kinds of things that go on. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, but what did you come in Monday morning at whatever, let's say your start time's 8 a.m. What did you come in Monday morning at 8 a.m. to do? And if that is not the one thing all day, every day,
Mhm.
you're going to end up in this vicious chase cycle where there's not enough time. I'm always behind. I'm chasing the next dollar. I'm not sure what to do next. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. There's burnout, fatigue. 40 hours turns to 60, 80, and it compounds itself. So people need to recognize it's not really about a time blocking exercise. There's elements of that that apply, but you need to build your weeks, which is where 168 hours comes from, just in case anybody was curious.
Yeah.
But your week needs to be built so you can do the one thing and have a slack for those other things. Because as a business owner, you're everything from expert on the
Mhm.
all the way down to janitor, window cleaner, whatever else. Oftentimes we focus on, again, doing what's comfortable, doing the thing we know to do. Oh my gosh, this is an important client, they're family friends. I need to make sure they're taken care of. but can anybody else on the team problem solve that? If you don't have a team, well, okay, everybody starts somewhere, right? But
Yeah.
you start to have to strike those balances because what's interesting to me is when I say it like this, everybody gets it, but nobody does it. If rent is due and the sheriff is out front with the landlord, you're going to hand him a check. You're going to do the one thing. But if the sheriff's not out front and eviction's not imminent, we'll do the other thing. So we know
Mm-hmm.
what to do. We just
Mm-hmm.
don't actually exercise the discipline to do it. And it's never utility bills, it's never rent, it's the tax bill, it's the strategic plan, it's refining the marketing funnel so that I'm getting the right leads instead of the wrong leads. It's asking for those follow-ups to get referrals instead of just, hey, good job, thanks for the payment. It's all those subtle things which you can set up systems and delegate, but we get so focused in on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. A friend of mine is a roofer, and he said it like this: every job he goes back with the little magnet deal and runs through the yard, just like he would lawn mow the whole yard,
Yes.
primarily because he wants to be present so that the homeowner can voice any concerns right then and there at the end of the job. It's not because his team did not already run the magnet. It gives him 20, 30 minutes of
Mm-hmm.
unoccupied time where people can engage him.
Hmm.
You know how many bad results he gets out of his customers because of that? Because he's able to solve it right then and there. Every job, he creates space to solve whatever the problem is. His
Brilliant.
most recent story to me was we made a mistake. We dropped one of the plywood OSB boards on a plant.
Mm-hmm.
We broke some of the branches on the plant. I went and bought him a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it with me, had it in the back of the truck because I was worried about it. I was giving it to him one way or the other. They walked out and said, "Hey, we're sorry about." And he said, "You know what? I actually bought you this. We saw that. I'm so sorry. What can I do to help?" Pissed off to happy in
Yes.
20 seconds. So again, it's easy for me to tell the story. These are easy to say, hard to do. But
Yeah,
that's
but
where it is. We got to
don't
go do the do.
secret sauce. The brilliance is that it was pre-planned in the margin.
There you go.
Pre-planning. And so as this friend, the roofer, is planning, hey, we have another job coming up, he's already built in the next day schedule is to go back and to do that walkthrough with the magnet roller, which is brilliant. And how often as business owners do we not pre-plan the, I call it margin, the extra time, the extra space that we need that's going to generate all those referrals? Like
Yeah.
alone, he could chalk that up to marketing. Now, all of a sudden, the neighbors see his van again. His customers are happy. He can ask for the review. He's getting more five-star reviews, no complaints. All of the good that is just coming from pre-planning that time on that same call is brilliant. And to your point, instead we're reacting, oh, I can't go visit that customer that we did yesterday because today I'm reacting to everybody in the office that's griping about this or that. No, he's already scheduled it out. We have to learn from this.
Yeah. You set that up in such a beautiful way. The other element that I tell people is you need to be present. Like if you're clocked in 8 to 5, be clocked in 8 to 5. Don't be half in, half out. There's a lot of business owners that like the title, but don't want to do the work. And we all know somebody who's been there. If you don't want to do the work, hire somebody. That's fine. Nobody's saying you have to be all the things, but
Yeah.
you can't pretend and kind of be on both sides of the fence. I'll tell everybody, my accounting side, like I don't believe in advertising. It's just an expense line item. But I'm wiser than that. I recognize it's a different metric. It's not a direct connection. And all these different soft metrics come together to yield a specific result that does impact revenue if done properly. But you
Mm-hmm.
can't halfway do that. And I can't pretend I'm the marketing expert to go through and try to do all of those things on my own because it's not my space. So
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of that stuff where just that presence and intentionality matters. Right or wrong is not the point here. It's
Mm-hmm.
show up, do the thing, do it to the best of the ability based on the information you have today, and cut the rope and adapt tomorrow. Because again, I know I teased about it earlier, but my crystal ball is just as broken as yours.
Yeah. Chris, I've never heard anybody say that before. People talk about, oh, be present at home, put your phone away, be present in meetings, put your phone away. But like if you clock in from 8 to 5, if you clock in to 7 to 7, whatever you clock in, you're choosing to be there, be present during your workday. What a difference that would make for your business. We all need
Yeah.
that reminder. I know so many business owners that zone out for half the day, and it's such an easy trap. And whether they're scrolling, whether they're not, whether they're just piddling around, they're not present. And if you're not going to be present from 8 to 5, then work 8 to 12.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Give it your all, and then go diddle somewhere else because people don't need to see that. That's what I call it all the
So
time.
this
Diddle.
is going to be tough verbally, but think of a pie chart that's divided into thirds. There's
Okay.
three pieces of pizza, if you
Fine.
will, right?
Yeah.
It's eight, eight, and eight. Eight's business hours, eight's personal family time, eight's rest and recovery. We all have the same amount of time.
Hmm.
If you sacrifice one, you must sacrifice another.
Hmm.
At least two get impacted. That's the reality. That's why I say be present. So your comment about be present with your family is
Yeah.
correct. Be present with rest and recovery and health is correct.
Hmm.
If you sacrifice one, you're going to impact the other.
Hmm.
And you can shift, just not forever because usually
Hmm.
they're not sustainable models. Somebody
Yeah.
out there saying, I only need 6 hours of sleep. Good for you. I need eight. But
Yeah.
you have to know what those boundaries are for you, your system, your family, your environment. Everybody gets to customize that, but it's important, and you set that up beautifully in the sense of we talk about it in other arenas, but we need to get them all right.
Hmm. We do. What an interesting thing that you're saying here. Uh, I've been on an interesting health journey lately. I'm wearing a Whoop band. They say best in class. I got all the data, right? Saying I'm healthy or not healthy. It says that I'm pretty healthy right now. And but with the sleep. Oh, you only need 6 hours. No, maybe you're just not old enough yet. Once you get a little bit older, we all need more sleep. But I'm learning so much right now about the importance of going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time because of the chemicals your body's producing. And I know this is not a health podcast, but check out, for those that are listening, check out the Own It podcast. Justin, he's got a really long last name that starts with an R. But anyway, I'm going to put a plug in there. Find it and put it in the show notes, will
Okay.
you, Natalie? It
Yes.
just talks all about the starts with a C, the chemical we release when we're waking up, cortisol, and then going to bed with melatonin, and how your body produces it from the gut. You must be in deep sleep so that your body can detox all these things. So when you say, "Oh, I only need a few hours of sleep," you cannot sustain long term like that. And so what Chris is
Yeah.
saying, you have to take, hey, tax season, you might be working a whole lot more. There
Mhm.
might be seasons, but you have to know that you eventually have to shift back and find your normal, or you cannot sustain long term because it's going to break down your body. And as business leaders,
Yeah.
how many leaders do we see that are so unhealthy and struggling with major health issues, so much to where they have to walk away from their business, which is just so, uh, it's awful. And we need to recognize ahead of time that that's no way to live.
Every business owner I know has dealt with some bout of stress that
Yes.
was beyond reasonable. It's
Mm-hmm.
a matter of when, which
Mm-hmm.
is why this is kind of it's not a direct thing for business, but Danielle, your point here about health, I mean, that's why it's part of the pie chart. Like if you don't
Mm-hmm.
do these things, you will die. If that's
Yes.
your vibe and you want to run yourself into the ground and have a heart attack at 50, you're welcome to do it. Nobody's going to stand in your way.
Mhm.
Ask your family before you do it though first, because I think they have a different opinion. In
They
getting
do.
that recipe so that it is sustainable and that it's healthy and normalizing all of these things. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely okay to call a customer and say, you know what, not today. I'm sorry, but not today.
Yes. Yes. Let's normalize protecting our family time, protecting our sleep time, protecting our health. Absolutely. Let's. What's next,
Yes.
Natalie?
I thought it was hilarious, Chris, when you were talking about how business owners are acting like a business owner, because it actually leads perfectly into my next question. What's the difference between someone who owns a business and someone who actually behaves like a business owner?
To me, there are two things. There is no actual recipe here, but owning a business, um, many people, just think about those that have a retirement account or something in the stock market. Congratulations, you're a business owner. You own shares. What have you done to make your Coca-Cola shares better this week? That's the difference. Behaving like a business owner is being present. If your role is that of a board member and a board advisor, play that role. If you're an owner operator, like a lot of entrepreneurs are, you get to play both roles and you have to kind of get your time and sequencing so that you can run the business as well as operate the business. Some folks are technicians like I am. You know, in licensed professions, there are certain things that must be done by the licensed people. Well, you can build a paradigm around everything else to have support staff to help with those things, but you got to sign off on the things you got to sign off on. So getting this infrastructure built in a way that not only works for professional ethics and good business service, but is also sustainable for growth or for the take home. Natalie, your question here about what's the difference between a business owner and someone that behaves like one, it's a thin margin in the grand scheme of things. But what I watch a lot of people do, and I'm talking to the boomers for a few minutes here, sorry to normalize ages, but most of the boomers that I talk to have developed a business. It's like another child to them,
Mm,
and they want to sell it, and it's worth $7 million. Guess what? You do a financial valuation and it's worth 700,000. And they don't understand why. They've put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. But an actual valuation says it's worth 700,000. The emotional says it's worth 7 million.
yes.
There's some of the things where you've got to think about behave like a business owner in this scenario. If you're building it to sell it, why'd you take all the cash out of it all those years? Why'd you buy the third lake home and the second ski vacation and another RV? And you didn't have to depreciate all that stuff that you now are going to sell with the business that the new business owner is going to throw away and buy something new on. We could have done things differently to create a value model that maybe got us close to that $7 million. Or maybe not. Sometimes it's just unreasonable. But those things are important. I always tease people like, first question they say, where should I start whenever I'm starting a business? At the end, what are you trying to do? Are you selling it? Are you selling it to private equity? Are you going public? Are you just going to operate it, pull all the cash out and close it? Is it a weekend deal? Is it a hobby? Like all of these things matter because just doing it isn't going to get you to that end goal if we don't know what the end goal is.
No.
Ever been in another town? Ever used Google or Apple Maps to figure out where the heck you're going? It's the
Yes.
exact same recipe.
A great point. And, people say begin with the end in mind, and yet we don't do that because it's hard. And you
It
probably
is.
know the better words for it. What it is it's stretching those muscles, the muscle of thinking.
Yeah.
And as a society, we have gotten lazier and lazier with our TikTok reels of, I don't want to think, just do the thinking for me. But to begin with the end in mind, we must think, what do we want? What does that mean? What does that look like? And we must stretch that muscle of thinking further, and people quit short.
And I had a law school professor say it like this, same concept, different vocab. People, especially in today's model with social media,
Mm.
crave instant gratification because of the dopamine hit that comes in.
Yes.
We
Mhm.
want it now, 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 now,
Yes.
now. Name something that has lasted forever that happened now. I challenge you to do it because most of the time it's been built years and years and years. The example I like to go here is Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Amazon was made fun of in the beginning as this online platform that nobody knew
Totally
anything,
was.
and it's taken over the world.
Yes.
They had a different vision in mind at the end. Now, that may be intimidating to some business owners. So, the end in mind might be I need to set up a business that creates
Mhm.
enough cash that allows me to pay my mortgage
Yes.
and take my kids to soccer practice.
Yes. And
That's
that is
fine.
the yes. Mm-hmm. But you're going to run it differently than if the end was to be Amazon.
Correct.
Hmm.
Correct.
Yeah, I quote this a lot. I read a book so long ago, I couldn't even tell you which one it was, but that Starbucks says it takes 20 years to be an overnight success. And I tell the team, we're 15 years in. We're almost there. Only 5 to go.
There's a lot of truth in that. And I think what people see in social media is the beginning and the end. They don't see
Mm.
anything in between.
No, they
You
don't.
don't see the behind the scenes. You don't see the blood, sweat, and tears. We also only see the success stories because usually we don't make a press release about the bankruptcy that
So true.
folded our business.
Yeah.
So it's distorted in optics as opposed to reality. Like if you read Small Business Administration statistics, if you are crazy enough to go be a small business owner, like the odds are not in your favor. That's
Yeah.
the reality of life. They're just not.
No.
But that's okay. I mean, I want people in that space and you got to try, but you've also got to recognize you're climbing up a hill. So are
Hmm.
many others, and many have gotten to the top of the hill. Just understand that's the mission.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I really have been practicing in all social settings. So no matter where I'm going, meeting with people, whether it's meet and greets or whatever, if I don't know people, and having how to have interesting conversations, right? Because although we're not going to press release the failures, I love to hear about them. And I know you do too, because we want to
Yeah.
learn from each other and then it's believable and it endears you to other people. And so I definitely always want to encourage everybody, hey, it's okay to talk about those things. And please do. Don't hold it as a secret. Like we need to learn from each other's failures, help others. And so I've got many business failures. Happy to talk about them. No press releases about them. But you know, the press releases are for the successful company. Let's talk about the new flat rate. But the others that have failed along the way, like I learned, right? We've learned we
Yeah.
we needed those building blocks. The other thing I wanted to comment on, you said that some of these business owners have all these lake houses. Can we be invited?
Sure.
I just want to
Sure. I
go.
mean, many of
Invite
them are on
your lake houses,
VRBO. You
guys.
can invite yourself.
No. I'm like, I just want to remind anybody listening, if you have a lake house or a boat, there's people that want to go hang out at those places with you. So,
Our
So,
DMs.
so here's
yeah,
the
our
free
GMs are
tip of
open.
the
We
day.
want to go.
We Podcast Road Show, probably we can turn it into some sort of business expense for you tax dorks that want something special out there.
See?
But yeah, yeah, and I don't want to discourage anybody from those things. If those are your dreams, go get them.
Yeah.
But at what cost? Well, there's always a trade-off in life. You
There
heard me say it earlier. There's a yin and a yang. There's a black and a white. There's a balance.
is.
There's old you and there's young you. Old
Mhm.
you may have less in retirement because young you has the lake house. If you understand it, who cares? And then
Right.
invite us.
Right. Because we want to come.
This podcast. How does personal financial goals translate into business growth?
This is that it's easy to say and hard to do type concept again. I can tell you all day long, I want to grow my business. If I don't have leads and I'm not taking on new clients and I'm not marketing and I'm not networking, I'm not building the infrastructure and systems. And I mean, uh, you said
Mhm.
all these words, Chris. Yeah, that's what it takes to grow. Now, it's kind of easy. Like I break businesses down into a couple of different phases. Like you got startup mode. It's easy to grow in startup mode.
Mhm.
Just stuff shows up, you call more people, you end up with more referrals. It happens. When you get out of startup mode, kind of into this mature business phase, it's actually kind of hard because the sophistication of the work usually evolves. Um, again, let's take an insurance agent in this scenario. Oftentimes, insurance agents are with specific brands or companies. So, in order for them to grow, they've got to sell what? All the houses in a neighborhood, which sometimes the insurance company is going to say no to because they don't want that risk. Okay,
Mhm.
so now I've got to go to a different geographic market, which my district office may or may not allow me to do. These are real life struggles. So then there's these ancillary services, financial services comes to mind because a lot of the insurance companies are adding on banking or other things as they've grown over the years. But that mature phase, do you actually want to grow? And this goes back to the question you asked about, hey, what are my goals or what's the mission? But how do the personal financial goals impact here? Every business owner I know gets to a point where they say, I'd really like to work less and make more.
Mhm.
Cool, cut costs. Keep your revenue the same, cut your costs. Not hard. Again,
Mhm.
says easy, does hard.
Mhm.
How do we get more efficient about what we're doing? What are the things that we can optimize internally? Um, how do we engage existing customers? Because oftentimes they know who you are. They're the easiest sell. Like the obstacle to close, like what's the dollars per click on a new customer? Zero, because you already have them inside your database.
Yeah.
So there's things like that that I think we need to start thinking about differently in that growth phase or in that mature phase.
Mm-hmm.
Then you end up at the end with kind of this either wind down or exit type phase. One, obviously a sell, or maybe sometimes we just shut down. Either way is fine. But growing in that phase, does it actually make sense? Sometimes, and I know lots and lots and lots of professional service providers. An attorney did this recently where he was like, I'm just going to work. And as my clients fall off my list, I'll be done. When I have no more clients, I will retire. And he dwindled his list down that way to make sure his clients were taken care of. But, hey, I'm 78 and I want to grow my business with no succession plan. That might be a bad recipe for your constituency. And I
Mm-hmm.
get phone calls all the time as the young gun attorney where they're like, hey, we're switching attorneys because when I die, he's not going to be here. And she's retired or on her exit. Usually women plan and men just die. I don't know what that's all about, but it's it's real for the customer base. So I
Yeah.
think as you think your way through where we are in those, this again, it goes back to what are your goals?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be 78 and grow, you need a succession plan. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to be in your 40s and you're stuck in this mature phase and you don't really want to work harder or do more things, maybe it is focusing on being more efficient, cutting
Mm-hmm.
costs. So, each of these phases has like 58 different things you can do any given place all the time. The intentionality of connecting the dots is what's lacking. And then sometimes you don't know how to do that. So you need to hire somebody externally and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I need somebody to help me evaluate my software stack and see where my redundancies are so that I can start cutting costs. Okay, get an IT expert that's in that space that can help you do it.
What financial habits separate successful contractors from struggling ones?
Yes, I'm going to pick on our construction trades for a minute. First and foremost, if you're in a construction trade, hire somebody that knows numbers, not construction numbers. Hire somebody that actually knows numbers. And I'm picking on the construction types because just think about the personality. They are creative, they're extremely talented, but it's typically out in the field with their hands. Numbers are the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have that financial aptitude, I'm all in on it, and many contractors do. But I think you've, in particular, it doesn't matter your profession here. You've just got to be mindful of where that space is, because what you excel at as opposed to what you don't excel at could be two different things. But
Mm-hmm.
what's the discipline that's inside of it? Step zero is know your damn numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know them, you're guessing. And again, I've never met a person that can guess. Even the guys in Las Vegas have some structure around that, but they can't tell me who's going to win the World Cup.
Right.
They're going to guess. They're going to get the odds, play the game, but they can't tell you that. Typically, they're reading a singular human behavior, right? They're not actually guessing the future. So if you don't know what you've got, how do you know where you're going? What's our starting point? If we don't know where we're starting on our maps analogy, how do we know where we're going? Like Natalie and Danielle, if you guys go north and I were to go south from the same destination, we would meet, but one of us is going to take a really stinking long time to do it because you go all the way around the world. And that's the point. Know
Mm-hmm.
where you're starting, get oriented. And then the next step really is less important because most people are guessing on bad data. The conversations I have as a CPA in tax land, hey, I had no idea I would owe that much money. Why? Did you do a tax projection? Well, I've never owed that money before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what changed this year? Well, I got a new job. Never occurred to you to double check and make sure your withholding was right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a thing.
Right.
Why would they?
Right.
Most people don't think in that way, but financial people do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a good example in the sense of like when facts and circumstances change, you're going to be blind to some things, and having some resources around you to help you with those blind spots is key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how awesome it is that we can have others who know how, surrounding yourselves with experts. How do I say this? Elevating, elevating your network. Like, I have these friends, but they only know this. So who else could I add into my network? Or who, you know, Tony Robbins always says you have no lack of resources, just resourcefulness. And so thinking, all right, who do I know? Because you probably do know somebody that's good at these things, right? Well, we know Chris now. Chris is good at these things, right? So in expanding your network and adding people that are good at this, and then allowing your life to receive accountability of, okay, Chris, I want to do better this year. So will you help? Accountability is good. We need accountability. Otherwise, we're blindsided. Numbers tell a story, and learning financials is so scary. And we talked about this a little earlier today on this episode. It can be so scary in the beginning, but as you become more comfortable, it can be exciting to learn that you can dictate what's going to happen
Mhm.
when you know and understand the numbers. Oh, you were negative 3% profit last quarter? Okay, let's affect some change. What could we do differently to make sure that that's 3% positive this quarter? We can do that when we know. And I love how you say start with your baseline and then we can, know where
Yeah.
we're going to go from there. But bringing in accountability, expanding your network, getting to know people like Chris, having him look at your numbers.
So I want to jump up and down on accountability because most people don't like that,
Of course,
or
it doesn't
it's
have
a
to be bad.
negative.
Yeah.
But you showed your fitness tracker earlier because it gives you that baseline expectation that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Mm-hmm.
And I too don't like to be held accountable to something that maybe I missed or whatever else it is. But if we can get into this routine, and this is where I like sports analogies all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if you win or lose. I mean, it's on Sports Center every single day of the finest athletes in the world, and one team loses every day, and they get paid boatloads of money to go back
Yeah.
out and do it again.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's what business is sometimes. Not every job is going to go perfect. Sometimes you're going to have to adapt on the fly. We've been in the middle of successful business growth mode, and then the partners get divorced because they're literal husband and wife that get divorced, and then the business caves because of it. What a squandered opportunity. But same vein, if
Mm-hmm.
everybody's able to exit in a healthy way, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think people get stuck. They
Yeah.
don't like the accountability, but they need it to measure against, am I running faster or slower? Did I sleep enough hours? Did I drink enough water? I mean, that's my vicious, which for those that are watching the audio, I'm holding up a water bottle, but it's on my desk all day, every day, and I still don't
Yeah.
drink enough water because I'm doing this all the time, yip yapping at people. But you've got to be somewhat intentional about those goals and objectives as you go through, and accountability is key. So thanks
Yeah.
for setting that up too, because
What it
it's
also
just
does is it
it's
fast
life.
forwards. Yeah, it is. And being having an account like people that are allowed to speak into your life and hold you accountable, they see things and they speed it up. Like, oh, if you just tweak this, it doesn't have to be a whole rewrite. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to change your whole business. But accountability allows them to just, hey, what about let's tweak this? Let's pull this lever. Have we pulled that one lately? Oh, wow. Instant
Right,
changes from some
right.
little lever tweaking from accountability. Imagine that.
Well, this perfectly goes into my next question, which is what's one number every owner should know weekly?
One number every business owner should know weekly. I'm going to say they need to know their costs because it's the one thing they can control. You can't always directly control revenue, but you can control your costs. And if you know what those costs are, the business owners that I work with usually know the inputs to get the revenue to that benchmark. And if you don't, and maybe it's not weekly, maybe it's monthly, or maybe you need to do monthly and hack it together. Usually there's a seasonality to every business. So you get too hyper detailed and like, well, January's weekly cost is different than on August. Awesome. I'm glad you know that level of detail. Get over it, get to the normalized point. Because if you know that detail, you can get to this bigger concept. But that would be that single one thing. Because again, you can control it to
Mm-hmm.
some extent.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, what's one uncomfortable conversation business owners need to stop avoiding?
One, I only get to give one.
1 to 10.
Yeah, so the one, no, I'm more not, that's a whole other podcast, right?
Yeah, we can do an episode on that.
The one, like the true one, and awkward pause to kind of let this set in. They need to actually have the conversation with themselves. They need to think And the kind of the advice that I give people here is I need 30 minutes. I need you to sit down for 30 minutes. 15 minutes, I need you to think, but no notes, no anything. And I'm driving a bunch of the type A's nuts right now because they want to write it down. 15 minutes, think, have that internal dialogue. Second 15 minutes, you can write it down, you can script out what you want to do. But in that first 15, somebody out there is, what if I forget this great idea? Trust me, folks, if it was that great of an idea, you're not going to forget it. Who cares? This is my point. We get distracted by clutter. It sounds really good in the moment, but I can't remember it 30 minutes later to tell my spouse about the great thing. Move on. That's your distraction point. Focus on what matters. Script out in that second 15 what you're going to do about it. And then to Danielle's point earlier, hold yourself accountable at some point, whether it's a week, a month, a year, hold yourself accountable to whatever that 30-minute brainstorming session was.
Well, Chris, I know you recently wrote a book called 168 Hours. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and why you decided to write it?
Yeah, so the book is 168 Hours, a startup business guide that respects your time. Why did we arrive at 168 hours? Because 24 hours seemed too short. As I started expanding things out and talking with folks, when you get to like a month-long executable plan, that seemed too long because it starts to become overwhelming. So we broke it down and just said, all right, let's focus on a week. Why is a little bit of twofold. Um, the clickbait answer is I want people to get familiar with me. I want them to know who I am. And like it's a marketing tool, in all candor. I'm authentic and transparent. But there's a secondary give back piece here. There's nothing in there people have never heard before, but it's also the real stuff that I talk to clients about every day of my life. And these are those sticking points. It's formatted in the sense of kind of like a business plan. But my point in all of it is you've got the same amount of time as Jeff Bezos, Beyonce, or anybody else in the world. How you use it matters. What you use it on matters. And if you're the personality that has to do all the things all the time, every single time, you don't have enough time to do it. That's the reality. So you've got to start breaking things down and say, my business needs 5 things. I'm going to focus on the 5 and then go do those. You got 5 days in a week, do one a week. Sounds easy, does hard. There's a theme here. But all of it is built around kind of going through each of these different components. There's boatloads of components in there, which people are going to be like, how do you choose 5 out of the book? Well, I'm available. I can help you. But the reality is, every business really, you know the thing. You actually know what you need to go do. Or if you're a new business owner and you're stuck, you don't know what to do next. Like, how do I get started? Start here. Do you have a customer that is willing to pay you money that is enough for you to do it? If so, do your business. Worry about the other stuff as you unfold. It really is that simple. And I've found when you start to strip away the noise and it turns black and white and less gray, folks start to focus and say, you're right. I do have a value here. I am really good at woodworking. I have a passion for building flower beds, but nobody wants flower beds. Perhaps I should be a carpenter and do finished carpentry inside of custom homes. Not my passion, but maybe I can do flower beds with it.
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough. We got to the objective. You just had to do some other stuff inside because you needed to pay for the overhead of operating your business. You're going to have to do some stuff you don't like along the way, but getting in and kind of figuring those things out and really distilling it down to what's important to you. How do you do that? You line up your personal goals. I mean, we've already been there today, right? I need enough money to pay my mortgage and send my kids to soccer practice. Cool. How much money is that? If you can't answer that question, focus on it until you're done. When you do know the answer to that question, add 10%, go to the next page. Why do we add 10%? You got to create this margin that we talked about earlier, financial margin, time margin, whatever it is. Each of them, you just singularly go through the process. Now, if you are the personality that took 2.5 years to figure out your personal budget, this game is not for you. You're going to take too long. Or you got to figure out tools to accelerate that process, one or the other.
So you are the host of the BLABO podcast. What kinds of conversations are you guys having over there?
These exactly like this. The BLABO stands for behave like a business owner. We set it up in the sense that I'm inviting real people that are going to talk about both wins and losses. Because we shared this earlier, like you don't advertise the negative side, but everybody that's been through business has a real moment where it's like, oh my gosh, am I really going to open the doors tomorrow? Are we sure we want to do this? And I think getting some of that out. Our most recent episode, where we're talking with the soccer coach, football coach, because he's from Europe, but he was talking about his original visa in the United States was 3 years, and he thought that was going to be it. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I've only got 3 years. 13 years later, he's still in the United States. He's operating a soccer academy in the DFW area. Never thought he would be there because all he had was 3 years.
Yeah.
But to tell the truth about, I'm coming, going for 3 years and going home, that's truth. And look what it turned into. So
Yeah.
getting those stories out and letting people see the hard fights. Like he was
Mhm.
even teasing about, I spent some money that my wife hopefully doesn't listen to this episode. Like there were sacrifices
Yes.
inside of there, but he was
Yes.
being real about it. And
Yep.
and hopefully, I mean, his wife knows now. It aired on Tuesday, so
Yeah.
but those are those moments, those real moments
Mhm.
that I think when people start to normalize, guess what? We're all the same. We all have fears. We none of us know what we're doing. I sound like I have it all figured out, right? The reality is I don't. I've got a bunch of different metrics that we can measure against. But hey, Natalie, what is going to be the one thing out of this episode that I should say that gets all the viewers? You don't know any better than I do. We can put metrics together and get like a curated maybe, but nobody knows until it happens. So how do we put our best foot forward? That's the game. How do you start chiseling away at getting those things forward? And then all over the map topics. I mean, we even talked, again, soccer coach, that really doesn't have anything to do with business, except it has everything to do with business with team building and
Yeah.
and fundamentals and tactics. So we can talk about work-life balance. I mean, it's a similar vibe to this podcast. I mean, I don't want to rob your viewers, but you guys do a great job of talking about the real, the authentic, all the things that people could know, and you strip down some of that vulnerability. And I'm grateful to share in that journey and maybe can borrow a listener or two as we go.
Guys, if you liked this episode, please go over and support the BLABO podcast. Everything's going to be in the description. Please go subscribe, like a video, comment. We would appreciate it. And for my final question, who are the types of business owners you typically help through your advisory work?
So our typicals are service-based businesses. We've kind of narrowed and honed in. Some of that is because it's who we are and what we do. My family's been small business owners. I've done it. Our client base has done it. My team has done it. So we speak service provider. We can go beyond that. Geographically, kind of depending on which license is at play. My law license has a little more geographic restriction than CPA license, but um, the way I always like to say it is if you are a small business or small business owner and you're complaining about something, probably give us a call. We can help. We've seen it. We've been down that road. May not be me. I may be able to source somebody else that can solve the problem, but I'd at least welcome the opportunity to meet new people.
Thank you, Chris, for this episode. This is great information. I can't wait to get it out. And to everyone listening, thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
If you want to learn more about the new flat rate, go to thenewflatrate.com. If you want to learn more about Chris Papin and his work, go to papincpa.com. Lastly, don't forget to check out his new book, 168 Hours, link in the description. And if you do, please be sure to review it on Amazon.